Hi, my name is William Swart, and I'm a professor at East Carolina University in the College of Business. And I have just finished publishing a book that I think you will find very interesting. Now, the reason that I wrote the book is that what I have done has produced amazing results to me. It has improved student engagement. It has improved student learning, and it has increased student satisfaction. And I am not going to be talking, or in this book I do not talk about theories. I talk about things that I have actually done and tested over the past 4 years. So this is a book that really talks about what works, what has worked for me, and I believe it will work for you. Now, the book talks about a topic that is generally referred to as flipped learning. And flipped learning basically means that you do what is normally done in the classroom, meaning listening to lectures, and you do that on a computer-based platform outside of class. And at the same time, when you come to class, you engage in collaborative, interactive learning. So flipped learning has two components. It has the out-of-class component where you essentially learn the information, and then it has the in-class component where you collaborate to essentially make sure that what you think you've learned, you in fact did learn. Now, I'm going to be talking about 4 topics in this book. And that is the what's and whys of flipped learning. Why are we doing it? How do you actually put it to practice? There are very few books that really talk about how do you actually put it to practice. Now, most importantly, and there are no books that I'm familiar with, I'm going to be talking to you about how you can measure your flipped learning results. And it's fine to have a measure, but more importantly, I'm going to be showing you how you can improve upon that measure on a continual basis, so that no matter where you start with your flipped learning efforts, whether good or bad, whether as intended or not, that is a starting point for you to embark on a journey of continual improvement. Now, in our book, flipped learning basically is a component of blended learning. Blended learning simply means that you have face-to-face communication as well as computer-mediated communication. So if there's a computer involved, then you have blended learning. Now the spectrum of learning goes all the way from face-to-face to fully online, and in my opinion, flipped learning essentially takes the best of both. Now the big advantage of flipped learning is that it involves collaboration. And we have found that collaboration, active learning, problem-based learning are the ways that students really get engaged and learn best. So in our case, we have taken the typical flipped learning platform, but we have essentially introduced a degree of customization because we believe that we should cater to the abilities of students. Now, the abilities of students are such that there are some students that can take the material that is videoed, let's say in a lecture, and they can learn it, and they know it, and off they go. And we think that's great if they can do that. Well, if they cannot do that, then we want to provide a first line of help, and that line of help is collaboration. So if a student goes home, they read, learn, watch the videos, they still don't get it, they can come to the classroom. In the classroom, they get a group learning problem, and then they can practice what they should have learned and talk with their team about what they didn't know, get help from their team. And many, many times, very often, this team interaction results in the entire team learning. And if the student learns that way, then that's fine. That's all they need to do. Now, there are some students that can't get it on their own. They can't get it in group work, and that is where I come in. And that is where I play the role of a just-in-time instructor. I provide coaching and consulting to those students who have not been able to learn it by themselves, to those students that have not been able to learn it and need my individual attention. And I feel that my attention is much better spent on those students that really need it as opposed to providing it to everybody whether they need it or not. Now, what we have found with flipped learning is that students are more satisfied in flipped classes than traditional classes. The instructor, is much more engaged with students that learn better and vice versa. Well, if students are happier, they learn better, then they're not going to drop courses, and that makes the administrators happier. So all in all, we have in this flipped learning approach a triple win. Students do better, instructors do better, and administrators do better. But one of the side benefits of this flipped learning approach is that through this successive collaboration as the semester goes on, when students come to class, they cooperate in team, solving problems, and they do it over and over. They learn very essential leadership skills that will serve them better from now through the rest of their personal and professional lives. Now, the kinds of things that I'm going to be essentially talking about is that if you implement flipped learning, there really are 4 steps. And the first step is you have to develop a course syllabus that is geared towards flipped learning. You can't just take your old course syllabus and use it. Furthermore, you have to teach, of course, once you have the syllabus, you have to teach it. And as you try to implement that syllabus, you'll learn a lot about what is going on. Once you have implemented, now that's at the end of the course, you have had a syllabus, you spend a semester applying it in course. Now, if you don't know what you've accomplished, you can't go anywhere. So now you have to stop and measure the results. And once you're at that point, then once you have the results, you can study those results. You can see what didn't work. You can develop strategies for what works better. And then you can go ahead and modify the syllabus and try an improved version the next time around. That is what we call the first step in a continual improvement cycle, which the great quality control guru Deming called the PDSA, the Plan, Do, Study, and Act cycle. And in my book, I show you how to implement that PDSA cycle in your flipped classroom. Now, in order to flip learning, you're going to have to blend a number of items. It's not just the technology and the face-to-face, but you cannot use, or perhaps you shouldn't use, the same materials that you use for a face-to-face class. So you have to be involved in designing and developing out-of-class learning materials. Gosh, if you're going to collaborate, then you really need to think about how you're going to arrange or design your learning spaces, your learning space for this collaboration to occur. Gosh, you also have to spend a fair amount of time deciding what it is that you're going to do in class in the interactive group learning activities so that what students read and watch outside of class is going to be reinforced. Now, you're going to have to think about how to achieve effective collaboration between students. Collaboration is not natural. Students need to be helped in achieving collaboration. Now, you as an instructor, you cannot prepare for a flipped learning class. In a flipped learning class, the class in control of the students, they are there working with each other, they are learning from each other, and they'll have questions, but you don't really know what questions they're going to have. So you have to be prepared not to just give a lecture, but you're going to have to be prepared to be able to answer questions from students when they have them. So you are no longer the sage on the stage, as we talk about, but you are in fact a learning coach and a consultant to students or teams that run into difficulties. And then finally, of course, you have to be sure that you design the relevant and appropriate assessment materials so that you can continue to improve what it is that you are doing. Now, this is the things, the items that you have to work on when you implement the flipped class. Now, those things can be done differently by everybody that embarks on this. I can tell you till I'm blue in the face, do it this way, but you'll have another 1,000 reasons to do it your way. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can do it your way. The important thing is that you measure it. Now the question is, how in the world do you measure results? Your first reaction may be, I'm going to look at grades. Well, grades are fine, but they are not actionable because you have those at the end of the semester, and you cannot query students as to what happened during the semester because they're gone. So I have adopted the work of the great Dr. Michael G. Moore in Transactional Distances to develop a way of measuring the students' obstacles to learning. We measure, or we call those obstacles to learning, to engagement with learning, transactional distances, and we have developed a number of measurement ways that we can utilize to see what the transactional distance are once you implement the class. Now, these particular methodologies are based upon Dr. Michael Moore's methodology, but they are very practical in the form of questionnaires, and I show you through a case study how to go about using those questionnaires and to derive the results, and step by step I show you how to analyze them. Now, once you have the results, then we have to analyze them, and the transactional distances are items that are, first of all, divided into 4 main factors: the transactional distances between students and students, between students and teacher, between students and course content, and between students and the instructional technology that is used. But each of those is broken down into 7, 8, 10, 12 different sub-elements so that you can fine-tune the results of the questionnaire specifically where you're having problems and develop ways of improving the results by modifying your syllabus and implementing it the next time around. Okay, so now that you have these new results, then you simply go back through the cycle, you implement your new syllabus, you conduct the course, you collect the data, you study the data, and then you act upon the data to further improve it. So this is the cycle of continual improvement that we're going to show you in the book. So again, the book shows you how to implement your flipped class, whether you choose my advice or not. Once you have it implemented, we'll show you how to measure it, and then we'll show you how to improve it. So that is the gist of the book, and what it has done for me is that it has improved the average student grade by 1 full letter grade. It has totally reduced the spread in grades, and it has done it for me. I believe it can do it for you. Thank you.